Blessings, everyone. Today is a little something different instead of an oracle reading. Last night, Spirit brought to my attention a teaching, and it would be much easier just to listen and channel the message, the understanding, the way I am receiving this from the higher dimensions and the higher realms, through my guides, my higher self, angels, light beings, the masters, the energy that steps through to help assist in the understanding. And so last night I mentioned something on a social media page about the Hall of Mirrors, and quite a few people responded, some privately, in regards to what the Hall of Mirrors was. I think a lot of us have had the experience of it, but we're not quite sure what it is. And so, moving into this energy, listening, and reminding me. When I was brought to the other side during a near-death experience at a very young age, I did not have the experience that many speak about, because these are just like our beautiful facets of Source here. They're sometimes very specific because we were not actually meant to fully transition. It's not in our time yet. It's not in our plan. So Spirit brings us back to give us a higher perspective of something, knowing that we're going to return. Some are given a choice, and some are not. But as I was brought, I was shown many, many things. This isn't going to be about a near-death experience, but this is where it began. When I speak of the Hall of Mirrors, my first experience was at 12 years old, being brought to this place. It was a state of being. And the term the Hall of Mirrors is used because this is the most pure, introspective our being that we could have, in the most non-judgmental, clear experience. And at that time, I had tried to take my life because I believed that I was causing difficulty in my parents' life. I took full blame. There were many facets. And unlike a life review, the Hall of Mirrors is specifically directed at an event. Gently, my guides brought me in this space to show me how everything begins with us. How every choice, every perception, every emotion, every reaction, every cause and effect, all of it, it reflects our God light, our interweaving in the beautiful web of all creation. But how it does this is it shows us where it starts. And sometimes we forget the core intention of something. And so the Hall of Mirrors when we step into this space, when we're brought into this space, we are reflecting everything back to ourselves. So we could see. It's like a kaleidoscope all around us. How every possible outcome, every emotion, every intention comes back to us. And it also gives us the perspective from every outcome and how that would affect us. It is a very, very intense and powerful experience. And so when we're given this, if we have a near-death experience, it is a little bit different than if we invoke into this space on our own as we're here. But when I experienced this in the light, it showed me how I affected my parents through my perception, and then how my parents' love affected me through my perception. It made me understand that every choice that got me up to that point just came back to me. And although that they did give me another perception as they moved me through the Hall of Mirrors, they got to show me how my choices affected my parents and how they felt me, how much they loved me. And I got to experience myself through the love of my parents' eyes. And that changed everything. And so when the guides encouraged me to speak of this last night, they were talking about when we have an interaction with someone. Sometimes it can be a relationship we have strained with one of our family members. It can be a relationship we have in love, a romantic situation. Sometimes there are things that we are not able to express or say. So we are able to guide and ask our higher self to please step forward and connect to the higher self of another that we want to heal. Because we understand that in this life, we want to heal as much karma as we possibly can, because we're stepping into a space of expanded awareness now. But with this intention of the Hall of Mirrors, the most sacred place, this must be in a full space of love. We cannot step into this space with the I told you so, you owe me one, or you're gonna get your karma, you reap what you sow. There's so many negative connotations when we think of these things. The intention must always be, we don't want to create the karma, but we want to heal this from the purest, highest good. Because as we step through the Hall of Mirrors to create the intention, it is from our core being, it's reflecting back on ourselves, on our being, from our Christ self, from our source light. And from this space, there cannot be anything else. So the first message that the guides are bringing through is we must approach this from a sacred space with the highest good, the highest and purest intention, with love. And what this is from a personal experience. Sometimes we have interactions here that someone else is not aware of. Or maybe they're unaware of the way they're affecting you. Or maybe they are, but there's still a space of innocence there because they don't want to hurt. Maybe they're coming from a space of hurt. We all understand wounded people create wounds. They express wounds. They're coming from a space of wounds. And so the interactions can become wounded. And we want to change that energy, and sometimes we've done our best on a communication level. Sometimes we've done our best praying. Sometimes we've done our best in many other expressions to heal something. This is a very high level space that we're coming from because we've advanced. So this is also a higher frequency healing that we're doing on many different levels at once. So stepping into the Hall of Mirrors, we ask our guides, the masters, angels, light beings, to please help us from the place of love, to bring their higher self into the Hall of Mirrors with us so that they may see the reflection of themselves through their interaction with us. Because it's the only true and honest, loving way for them to experience how they're affecting us. So it's not necessarily a life review, although it can be in correlation with or represent in that way. This is an intention of, so there is no more karma created from an interaction. And there is an understanding and a higher level, because sometimes we can be in different frequencies. Sometimes we're fluctuating. There's an oscillation in a frequency. You're on the same perhaps 5D level, but the oscillation of the frequencies, the ebb and flow, can cause certain misunderstandings. And they may be coming from a place of intention, of innocence, but they're not fully understanding how it's affecting us. And so this broadens the clarity, it broadens the vision. The Hall of Mirrors brings it all into introspective. They are then allowed to see all the different aspects of the interaction, how we affect them, how our intentions affect them through our perspective, as well as their own. So what they may be sending out, they will experience fully. And again, this is in a place where we approach the energy of I told you so, or look what you're doing, or you reap what you sow. No. This is experiencing what Source experiences in us. It's teaching, it's understanding, it's experience on a higher level. Because our higher selves understand directly, which then can filter through and can help us to understand clearer here, because it's coming through the higher self. So imagine that maybe we're in a space of fear. We're having an interaction with someone. We care for them. But in our space of fear, every interaction we have with them is coming from this space. And they're feeling it. We're not completely clear in our intentions. Or maybe we thought we had a certain intention towards someone and then it's changed. And we don't know how to approach it with them, so we are avoiding it. And this is starting to create that energy oscillation. because it's not done in a spiteful way. It's not done in a malicious way. It's not done with the intention to hurt someone. It's almost like a blank space. The analogy they're giving me is like when we're in the car and we can feel that another car is behind us, maybe coming close. Or we have that feeling we're in a room somewhere and we can feel like someone's looking at us. You don't know for sure, but you have that feeling, and sure enough, you look over or you look in the rear view mirror of the car and you could see that there's a car approaching. It's that sixth sense feeling that we can feel that there. And so what the Hall of Mirrors does is it broadens that perspective, that we could see the 360, many different facets of something. It's almost like being able to see all the different possibilities at once, but from a space of intention. And then what it does when we address that, we ask their higher self to step into the Hall of Mirrors and see how this interaction is coming from them. Then free will steps in and they have the ability to make adjustments, to let that new perspective filter on into our world, into the soul story. And it gives them the ability to heal something because they have more clarity. But the most important part of stepping into the Hall of Mirrors, whether it's for ourselves, because maybe we don't understand what we're doing to hurt someone, we can set that intention for our higher selves on our own and go up with our guides and the masters, and they'll show us the many different perspectives and how it all reflects back to us. And we can then see how we're affecting others in many, many different lenses. And then it's our free will choice, what we do with that. It's the intention to heal something. And especially if we can do it before we have said or done anything in the physical, because we're healing it from a karmic level, much higher up. It's the highest perspective we can take for our own being and ask of others. Sometimes we can access the Hall of Mirrors when we have a decision to make. Maybe we are confused with our life purpose and we don't know what's holding us back. Yes, there's the Akashic records, there's our soul contracts, there's many different facets. But a very intense reflection is going into the Hall of Mirrors and looking within the many different perspectives, the kaleidoscope of our being, and seeing exactly what it is that's holding us back. We're going to see it from many facets, whether it's a facet of fear or love, whether it could be past life, whether it could be something that we haven't created yet, whether it could be an attention from when we were young, whether it's trauma, whether it's part of a soul contract. The Hall of Mirrors reveals everything, the whole of our being, and reveals many different possibilities of an outcome at once. So it's very, very intense. And that's why it's important that we approach this from a space of love, because like a life review, this is non-judgmental, though it can be emotional. And when we're asking someone from their higher self perspective to step into the Hall of Mirrors, if we have sat quietly with our higher self and gone into this space and asked our guides and our mentors, our loved ones, our inspirers, the masters, to connect with the other beings, higher self, to heal something. We're ready to be from a space of forgiveness as well. Never approach this in a place of anger or mistrust, frustration, fear. There can be none of this. The Hall of Mirrors will just not show anything. They won't bring us there for that. We have to already be forgiving. And because we love this other being, this other soul, this other beautiful interaction with us, all of us are brothers and sisters here. When we love them, we want to see them expand and understand what's going on from their perspective, so they could see what's happening, so they do not develop the karma either. It's like saying what we do here, oh my goodness, I've made that mistake. I've went down that road and I know what that's like. Please, let me show you a different perspective so you don't make this mistake. Let's approach this from a place of love in the highest perspective with the clearest view, so we can either continue on our journey together without developing any negative karma, or we disconnect in this lifetime from a sacred space where both of us understand how we affect each other, so we don't have to continue on the looping. And so, explaining the Hall of Mirrors, how we do this is we have to be very still. We have to come from the place of love, forgiveness, the purest intention. Connect with our guides, connect with Source and angels, and ask the masters to step in so that the person that we want to interact with, their higher self, can be brought into this space and be shown how these interactions are coming from their space, so that they may heal it, because we have. So the intention is no karma. So I hope this helps in some way, and everybody has their own way of going into these higher realms, these higher levels of being. The Hall of Mirrors is the same for all of us. It's the same frequency. So it doesn't matter what spiritual practices we have here. In the higher dimension, it's the same. One thing that the guides are being very adamant about is that we must do the work here first. The Hall of Mirrors is not the first space to approach this from. They won't bring us there. We have to do the work in the physical, also from the heart space, from the emotional space. The Hall of Mirrors is the end of the road experience. When we've tried and we've forgiven already, we're in a space of love and we're in a space of understanding, so that the karma may heal. So both souls can resonate the high frequency and move forward with their purpose and their love, whether it's together still in the physical or just healing part of a soul contract. So I hope this finds you well, and this is a little bit of a clear explanation. If there's any questions, you can leave it in the comment section, or everybody knows where to reach me on social media, and I will elaborate a little more, but this was the easiest way for me to explain it, because even in a blog or typing it out on social media, it doesn't quite always come through as clear. So sometimes just speaking like this, like you're speaking with a friend, it brings more of an energy through, and a clarity. Much love, everyone. Many blessings. Thank you for allowing me to share with you.